What's going on, everyone? This is Mitch with SC Weather. Hope you all been having a great start to your week, a good Monday. There is some things to talk about. The potential for severe weather tomorrow in Texas, portions of the south central U.S. just in general, and even areas in the Midwest like Nebraska, maybe Kansas and things like that as a wild card area. I'm not expecting an outbreak, really. In fact, we're not even going to talk about that much in this video because it looks like these storms are really just going to be basically out in open areas and more uh, open areas, rural areas, not in urban areas like cities and things like that. So I don't expect anything major occurring, no kind of outbreak. But there is some chance for maybe some chasers out there for some, or just you just happen to driving out in the middle of nowhere in Texas to maybe see some photogenic storms tomorrow evening and even maybe even into Wednesday. So we're gonna briefly just mention that on the Storm Prediction Center, but we're also going to start to take a look ahead as we round off the rest of April and get into the early part of May, talking about things like what the pattern is going to look like and temperature wise. Are we going to start to really warm up and get into summer-like temperatures, especially in areas in the southeast where you start to see your first 90-degree plus temperatures and things like that, which a lot of areas have not seen that yet. So we're going to start talking about that a little bit. Be honest, it's pretty quiet right now. Even though we had the event this weekend, honestly, it wasn't. It was a 1 day kind of deal or a 2 day kind of deal, and it's kind of back to being pretty a mellow pattern. It's definitely, I mentioned on Twitter, by the way, on Twitter, if you have not followed me on Twitter, definitely follow me on there. I'm very active. I talk all kinds of things, and that's basically just a good personal profile. I'm on there as Mitch West, but my ad is SC_weather_WX, and I'm active on Facebook also here locally for South Carolina. So definitely give me a follow there. Definitely subscribe if you haven't liked the video, if you do like it. But we're going to start to talk about what we do know. And just kind of what there is to talk about. So let's go on with the Storm Prediction Center. This is this big area tomorrow and slight. This is a pretty large area and slight. Maybe there's a chance somewhere upgrades to an enhance, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't. I'm leaning more on I doubt it. I just think that, honestly, it doesn't look super impressive to me. This is the same event that was showing up a week ago. But the Europeans showed this, and I think everybody latched on, including me, thinking that, hey, this could potentially be a big event. But it never started showing consistencies as far as it looking worse and worse. In fact, it started downtrending as not looking as impressive for a severe weather event. So you've got this huge area in slight. You go to day 3, and it moves a little bit further east. If my computer would load, maybe it just won't. But basically, there's going to be a marginal risk for day 3 for a huge area right into here. This is a pretty big area marginal. This might uptrend to a slight somewhere. But basically, you have this upper trough digging right here. It's going to continue to dig, and it's slowly going to bleed east into the southeast and eastern U.S. in general. This will give a chance for rain, but it's still a wild card what's going to happen, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So if we look at the GFS here, I'm going to go on and get right here and do this because it seems like I always forget to do that. But if you look at the GFS here, we're getting through here in time. This is our event right here. So we're getting, well, we started out pretty early. So this is basically Tuesday evening. Also want to mention the storms that do fire out here in the south central U.S., they might fire up right as the sun's going down. So even if there's anybody chasing these storms, you might lose daylight on them. So you get going through in time. This piece of energy starts to bleed east. So I do think it's going to be another active couple of days really across the lower 48. But this will continue to shift east. Well, you get some kind of surface low that develops to kind of enhances moisture. The GFS shows maybe just a weak line of storms that might, I don't even know if it's going to be a line. It just might be a line of showers. Thunderstorms is going to be lack of forcing here that really moves through. But the thing is the GFS does show rain, which I'm happy for, because even though we got about just under 3/4 of an inch of rain here locally here where I'm located in central South Carolina, that was not enough, and we're going to end up having one of our driest Aprils on record because of it. But the rain definitely shows a good bit of rain across the whole entire eastern U.S. as we get into Friday. So this is for Friday. This could speed down, speed up, this could slow down. But I think it might clear out for most of our weekend. We'll kind of see how this happens here. But it might clear out for the rest of the weekend, like Saturday and Sunday. Hopefully we can get it on out of here and have a nice weekend, get some beneficial rain Friday, and then get it on out of here. But you look here, and let's see if I got it as small as I can get it. I always mean to make this smaller for you guys before I start the video, but I get so amped up and ready to go into the video that I forgot. So here we go. Here's a low-level jet that gets popping here basically tomorrow into the next day, into Thursday. And this upper trough begins to kind of bleed east. And this is the GFS. And this is basically wind energy. So look how it kind of retains and stays intact as you get into the eastern U.S. So there's going to be some wind energy, but you're going to be missing other things like CAPE, and I'll show you that here. You're going to be lacking CAPE, which is storm energy that you need for storms. It explodes here somewhat, not a ton, but there's enough there here in the south central U.S. For storms, basically Tuesday, Wednesday, and potentially Thursday. But what kind of energy will you have in place as you get into the Gulf states, as you move more into Thursday, as you move more into Friday? How far north can you get it? Well, the GFS has it bleeding a little bit more north. So maybe Friday afternoon, evening, you can get some storm development here in the Carolinas. Any kind of severe event, if there is right now, it's just low end. And the European really isn't on the same page as the GFS. But could have some storms around Friday evening. We'll kind of see how that happens here. But as we're getting into the kind of the European operational run, and here's the storms. It's really basic. It's just green. It just shows green for the precipitation. It's not going to show individual storms. But as you get into Friday, notice the front kind of stalls here and almost tries to pop off a low pressure in the Gulf, which then kind of spins up, if you would call it even a spin, and then delivers a low pressure late weekend into Monday next week and delivers rain, which is totally different than the GFS. The GFS is not like this at all. The GFS shows rain, if you back it up, into Friday. It shows rain from basically the upper trough that pulls through and the energy that moves through. And then, but if you get to Monday, there's no rain. Totally different off the GFS, off the European. The European shows no rain for a good chunk of areas that the GFS is showing for, like the Carolinas and Virginia. It kind of gets it knocked down here, but then it pops off that low pressure and brings rain to early next week, or storms. This is the K index that the weathermodels.com shows. It basically shows us where thunderstorm development could occur. Obviously, it's pretty high right in here into Texas as you get into the middle part of the week. But then it kind of shifts, and this is the European, kind of shifts to the Gulf and to the Gulf Coast. Maybe you have some low end, maybe a level 1 out of 5 marginal risk for storms as we get into Friday. But you notice on the European, it doesn't get really far north here. So it just kind of signifies that maybe just some showers, maybe not enough thermodynamics here for thunderstorm development. But then, like you see Monday, it shows the potential growing as you get into early next week. So the next thing we're going to look at here is basically the EPS ensembles, basically European ensembles for precipitation. Obviously, it's pretty high in the south central U.S. You get into the Gulf states, you get into the Ohio Valley, the mid-south. That's an okay signal for a little bit of rain. So it's going to be interesting to see if the European trends to the GFS as far as more of a rainier scenario for Friday, or if the GFS kind of trends to the European for a more rainier scenario as you get into early next week. But they're kind of showing two different things. And honestly, there's a lot of disagreement about this coming weekend just for moisture in general. But you get into the GFS. I want to end the video with this, talking about temperatures, because if you look right here, first off, it was pretty hot. It's going to be pretty warm where storms can explode and develop here in the south central U.S. But look in general as we get into tomorrow. It's going to be one of the warmest days of the year, maybe for some areas up here. Maybe. I'm not sure how hot y'all have gotten up here in Iowa and Illinois and southern Wisconsin and things, but there's going to be a stout boundary right here. Let's go where that upper trough is. But very warm across the eastern U.S., except maybe up here in Maine and Vermont and New Hampshire and things. But I don't know, maybe 47 degrees is pretty mild and feeling pretty good even for April up there. But as we get deeper into the week, notice these are low temperatures. You got lows in the 60s across the Ohio Valley, portions of the Mid-South, So this is looking more like late spring, maybe early summer for some areas. You get into Wednesday afternoon, you're starting to push 90 in some areas. Maybe, and I know it just shows 80s, but a lot of these areas could hit 90s. But you start to get into Thursday, and I think Thursday could be some areas are going to get 90 degrees here outside of Florida, like Georgia, South Carolina, maybe even the plains of North Carolina, the coastal plains. So it'll be interesting. And then we get into Friday, and I think maybe some downsloping winds will cause temperatures to soar in areas in the Carolinas, especially just off the coast. But we'll have to watch this. It's just the GFS. But either way, it's going to be warmer this week than last week. And last week was really spring-like. But this week, it's going to be really spring-like with no rain. But you're going to notice it's going to be a little bit warmer. So basically, with that upper trough that pulls through, you have some colder air that goes on and comes down. This just happens. Even though we're getting closer to May, this tends to happen. But this cooler air mass will kind of settle into basically probably the entire eastern U.S. for the weekend. So it'll be a little colder. But look at the heat building again here in the south central U.S. So this tells me that you're eventually going to get some ridging to occur into the first week of May. And honestly, there's a lot of signals showing that the first week of May could be very, very warm. So we'll see how this happens. But maybe another chilly weekend, but we'll see how this happens. Might not be as cold as what we think, but it definitely isn't going to be cold by any means. It'll just be more of a kind of, I don't know, just a spring feel out there. But that's all I got, guys. To be honest, it's not a ton to talk about. It's been very quiet for what seems like a month now. But it could get active again, and I think we're going to have an early start to hurricane season. So I wouldn't be surprised to hear in the next month or month and a half that we'll be talking about a tropical system somewhere. But that's all I got. Thank y'all for tuning in, and y'all have a blessed and safe night.